Hi, my name is Scott, and this is commentary for the Polybius episode of Scott the Waz, all the way back in Season 1. This was one of the first major holiday specials outside of the Tinder episode for Valentine's Day and Stop Smoking for 420. But yeah, joke's on you too. This isn't one commentary, it's two commentaries, because after this one I did a commentary with Sam, who helped me filming the bits with the Polybius arcade cabinet. But I wanted to include a little bit where I'm just talking about this episode all by myself. But yeah, this was the first Halloween special for Scott the Waz, and this will always be one of my most memorable episodes, even if, looking back at it now, things have definitely improved or evolved. You can look back at this one and still be like, oh yeah, this is when Scott was great. And I would be like, hey, thank you still, because this episode still has a lot of charm, and was definitely pretty elaborate for the time, just with the amount of different things done in it. But yeah, I always had the idea for a Polybius episode of Scott the Waz. I remember I can look back at my notes for episodes I really wanted to do, dating all the way back to maybe April of 2017. I would keep notes of these Scott the Waz episodes I wanted to do, and I remember some episode ideas that were really super specific. It was Nintendo racers that aren't Mario Kart, and random things like that are a lot more specific than kind of the more generalized topics you'll probably see from a Scott the Waz episode these days, or even generally, they've always, Scott the Waz episodes have always had more generalized topics. But one of the first ones I remember was Polybius. I wanted to do an episode on Polybius. I always found the Polybius legend to be really, really interesting, mainly because nobody could ever deconfirm it. Well, I mean, people have sense, but people can never deconfirm it, even though it made very little sense overall. But it was always around there, and even featured in different forms of media as little Easter eggs and all of that. And I thought this made great sense for a Halloween special. I never really cared to do holiday specials that were very much based around those holidays. Not saying I'll never do that, but I kind of like to think outside the box in terms of Halloween-esque game topics, or Christmas-esque game topics, or what have you, or even just something that's not even related to those holidays. Just, hey, let's do a Halloween special about gaming mysteries or gaming revivals and all of that stuff that kind of have that spooky flavor to them, that kind of work in terms of a Halloween vibe, which I prefer to just compared to just doing I'm gonna talk about Castlevania or Silent Hill. That's spooky. Not saying that's bad, and not saying that I'll never do that. Potentially I'll do that one Halloween, but I kind of like to think to do something a little more different sometimes. And Polybius was the first time I did that, and I remember specifically 2017 was such a looking back, I am very nostalgic for this year, because this was the first year that I really went hard, with just being I'm gonna focus on school, work, and Scott the Waz. So I would go to school. That was early 2017 was my second semester of my freshman year of college, and I was working at a grocery store at the time as well, part-time as a cashier, and that's where I worked with Joe, who plays Terry Lessler in the special Scott the Waz episodes, and Sam, who helped me out with the Polybius episode, who plays Jip Jab, and who else? Jeff, who plays K-Swiss, and a couple other people here and there. And it was something where I'd go to work, 4 hour shifts, maybe 3-4 days a week, and I would go to school, And, that was like, 13 credit hours, 16 credit hours, probably 16 credit hours. And I would do Scott the Woz. And these episodes were so quick to do. I remember like I could start writing an episode on Friday and get it out on Sunday. It was pretty wild. And, that was like almost every week. Like I would still like work on stuff a little earlier, but a lot of episodes I was like, oh, I got to get this out on Sunday, and it was Friday, so I'd start work on it then and to get it out on Sunday. And now that's just not feasible. And it's really tricky to think about because it's something where I'm like, is that because I've slowed down, or is that because like the episodes are much bigger? And obviously, the episodes are much bigger, but there's something I kind of battle with myself in terms of like, am I screwing up here? Because if I really put myself to it, I can get an episode very quick. The Super Mario 3D Land episode in I think it was like November of 2020. It was like right after I made the Memory Cards Halloween special. That went out on a Friday. And the Mario 3D Land episode, I was like, after the Memory Cards episode got out, I was like, all right, I'm going to make this Mario 3D Land episode. I'm going to get this thing out. And I started writing it at like 4 p.m. that Saturday. And then I recorded and edited the audio that Saturday night. And then I stayed up all night and edited that episode and recorded like my live action portions, all that stuff. And then like as that episode was uploading, I think I was like working on like the charity event after that, like the merchandise for charity event that year, like the booklet design for the Mysterious Game of Crypticism product. So I'm sorry I'm rambling right now. I'm just remembering like when I was like, man, I was going hog wild back then. But now I'm trying to be a lot more just focused on just like making sure the episodes are good. And if they take a little bit longer, that's okay. It's just like can push it a day or two. But back in 2017, it was kind of like the episodes were so much shorter and so much like less involved that I could kind of get them out in like 2 days or something, and it didn't really affect the quality much. And I do kind of miss that to some extent. It is really like charming to just see these things made very quickly while still retaining like a lot of different stuff going on, like this, doing the Polybius skit, which obviously this did take longer. I remember I found like cardboard at my grocery store job, and I kind of patched together a lot of it and just put together like a really garbage like arcade machine design, and I think it worked out really well. I think the idea behind this was just kind of like, well, let's do kind of like a serial killer type design of like a horror movie where it's like, oh no, it's right behind you, where it's like the entire spookiness of Polybius is that it was like a brainwashing tool. But I liked kind of taking like the spookiness of Polybius and just making it more so like, oh, that's not spooky about it, it's spooky because it's like, oh, it could be right behind you. I thought that was a really fun twist, I guess. But overall, this episode was definitely one of my favorites, just to have like a quick, fun, just more involved episode of Scott the Woz that you still had like the game review kind of history portion, and then you still had like kind of more live action bits, and this was when I was trying to be a little more like, hey, let's incorporate a little bit more of this and whatnot. And I think this has like the perfect amount, like there's some times where it's just like stuff goes on a little too long, it's just like, it's something where you want to have the live action bits go on for just the right amount of time, and that's something that I always want to be aware of. And sometimes it overstays their welcome, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's too quick. So it's something that is tricky to nail down perfectly sometimes, but I think Polybius did it very, very well, where everybody's talked about Polybius, so why not do something a little stupid and new with it? The problem was, I think I remember it was like September, and I was kind of sitting in class. It was like an astrology like class. It was like a lecture hall, and I was sitting in it, and I just thought about it. And, like I think about like other, YouTube channels that I've watched since like 2008 all the time. And I was just thinking like, I'm like, man, like Polybius feels like it just makes sense for like the angry video game nerd Halloween special. And of course he did that in 2017 for his Halloween special. And I was like, damn. But it all worked out, because it's just like in the end I think it's silly to be like, oh, because one YouTube channel did a topic, that doesn't mean another YouTube channel can't do that same topic, even if it's somewhat similar content, as long as it's obviously not like copied. Like you can review the same game, you can talk about the same topic, all that kind of stuff. That's totally fine, as long as you do it yourself and put your own spin on it. That's perfectly fine. And yeah, I thought this was one of my favorite episodes from season 1. I think it still holds up. I think it's one of the best from that season, and I just have a lot of nostalgia for the 2017 era. That was a fun year, and it was a big year in my life. Just to just be working on this stuff, and for people to actually watch it. And I just remember like viewership growing, and seeing like people that. I remembered in the comments just, watching the episodes as they come out, and, the same people coming back next week and next week and next week. And it was such a cool feeling. And to just be working on this every week, it really kept me busy. And, college is a lot of work, but, I lived from home during college, and it was something where when I got back home from school or work, it was something where I just told myself, I never want to be bored. When I come home from school or work, I have this to do. This is my free time thing. This is my hobby. And it worked out. It was a really fun hobby to keep up, and now it's the most amazing hobby in the world, because it's also what I do for a living, and I'm very, very thankful for that. So thank you all so much. This was a really, really fun video to do, not only because I think it holds up well, and it was a fun time, and it was funny, but also because I had Sam help me out with it. Sam did a lot of help with the camera work, and moving the Polybius cabinet and all of that. This was one of the first Scott the Woz episodes, not the first, but one of the first ones where I had like major help from a friend in terms of the filming. And, I'm always thankful that these guys are willing to help me out with this stupid stuff. And this was one for the ages, as one would put. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear me and Sam discuss it. Hello, this is commentary for the Polybius episode of Scott the Woz. I'm Scott, and I'm here with Sam, who helped me out with this episode.
Hello.
Yeah, and this was one of the first episodes that I specifically got help on, at least in like the filming department.
Was that?
It was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. You see, near the beginning of this, I didn't really want to get help with any of my videos, because I was embarrassed, and it was silly. And I just I really wanted to do this Halloween special about Polybius. I had the idea like near the beginning of 2017 to do it on Polybius. Have you heard of Polybius before this?
Yeah, I did a little bit, not a lot, but I knew kind of a little bit of the lore behind it.
Yeah,
it was spooky back.
It was the perfect idea for a Halloween special,
yeah.
And I was specifically in one of my like astronomy class. I think it was astrology class, and it was just like whatever. I was just sitting there. It was like September. I just thought, I was like, man, I feel like it would make sense for like the angry video game nerd to do like a Polybius episode, and then he did it that exact year. I was like, God damn it! And I was like, I was working on this, but they were very, very different videos, so I think it worked out. This was a much more down and dirty kind of skit like like video, or his was more of like a horror film. And I think it ended up working out because I love the idea that it was we're scared of this arcade cabinet for all the wrong reason, because the entire idea behind Polybius is that this arcade cabinet is designed to make you go insane. It's designed to brainwash you, and I like the idea of I like the idea that this episode portrayed it as almost like a murderer or something. Like, it's just like, oh,
it's coming
like it's coming. Like, I love that idea. And I like during the season of Scott the Wise, I like doing like, oh man, for like a couple episodes straight, like I'll just do very basic like video game talk, and then I'm gonna do something artsy. And I like doing stuff that was a little more like, oh, most wanted Smash Brothers stages, and then I would make all the different stages like I would draw them in like different art styles, where I would draw one in like I wouldn't draw it, I would like make it out of clay, and then one I would make I would paint, and then one I would do with colored pencils, and one I would do out of like construction paper. And I'd still like to do that to some extent of like kind of doing more artsy episodes here and there, but at this point I've kind of like figured out the format of a Scott the Wise episode a lot more, and this one definitely was more of like, I want to make a Polybius cabinet. This was before it was easy to get like home arcade cabinets. That was like, you have the arcade 1-ups now and stuff that are just kind of like IKEA furniture basically.
Is there a Polybius one of them?
No, God, no. That would be badass though. That would be awesome. But pretty much this, like, I had to kind of get the dimensions roughly of an arcade cabinet and make it out of cardboard, and it looked so shitty, but I think it added to the charm.
Makes sense, I feel like.
I think it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And I had to scrounge like all this random cardboard around, and it was pretty much, you came over. This was like the day like Mario Odyssey released or something along that. Yeah, it was. I remember because I would always go to like Best Buy to get like the latest Nintendo game, and I was like, oh shoot, like I don't know why I couldn't have just waited until, but I was like, all right, I have to go to Best Buy at like 8 a.m. and then I have to pick up Mario Odyssey, and then I have to go back and I have to spray paint more Polybius, and then Sam will come over and we'll film Polybius, and we'll go get lunch, and then we'll go to work because we had work like at 5 that day too.
Big day all around.
Yeah, it was a pretty big day. Yeah. But yeah, this was like the first time that we filmed something
outside
together
of,
for
Internet U, I guess.
Yeah, Internet U, and then there was the Vape Shop vlog, and
this was the first time. It was more of like a
this was the Scott the Waz one, and this was kind of bringing everything a little more full circle in terms of having some more like skit like stuff in Scott the Waz, and I think like this had a very good balance of like fully information, fully like boom, let's talk about Polybius at first, and then it's just like boom, at the end it's just like a good like 2-3 minutes of just like garbage. And I really liked this one. It was tricky because you couldn't see, because you were behind the arcade. I needed somebody to be behind the arcade cabinet, or at least like film me for a lot of this stuff. And we just kind of filmed in the cornfield behind my yard and behind my house. And then we ran to the park to film some stuff here and there. But this was back when filming these kind of scenes was pretty quick and dirty, and it was just like boom, after an hour we're done. Now we're up till like 4 a.m. and we're exhausted, and we're just like it's harder to be like, oh man, like
it was more just good enough back then. Like, that works.
And
this is fine.
It's really tricky because like now when something's good enough, now when we try to film something that's like, oh, this is good enough, like it always looks like ass. And back then, like when we're like, just do this, it looks okay here, like it looks perfectly fine. I don't know if our standards have gotten better or like our luck has gotten shittier, where it's just like, oh man, like just film this, who cares, and then it comes out like just ass, like it just looks horrible. With this, I'm just like, just film me, and then it's just like it comes out pretty good. I don't know why, but this was one of my favorites back in the day. This still is one of my favorites. I think it's one of the quickest, easiest ones to enjoy. I mean, like, what's does this rank? I mean, like, I feel like this one's easy to forget, easy to forget, you know, like where does it
It's been so long, honestly. It's hard to really quantify it. It feels like the before times almost. Like
It is wild that it's been so long,
I
because this
know.
does feel like
It
pretty
feels
pretty
like a
recent.
while. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and it's been like 5 years
Yeah.
since this one.
Yeah.
But
I remember seeing the bloopers came out like a couple months ago from filming this. I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like I.
I'm like,
I look so different.
I got files on everybody. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh damn, I wish you deleted that. It's just like, no, I got this. No, but yeah, this was yeah, this is about to swap into skip mode. Oh no, and
That's the
elusive.
park.
Yeah, this is the park,
Yeah.
and then this was like one of the last things. And this was when we didn't care about audio, and
Not
it
at
came
all.
out fine.
God, no.
It came out fine, and now that we care about audio, it comes out like garbage, and I don't get it. Like
This
that's
is literally just an iPhone.
thing. I'm like, oh man, we got to make the audio a little better, and then we come out and it comes out better in these episodes than it does in like the ones where we care
Even
about
looks
it.
pretty good. Like just the
It looks not bad.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah, what's
No,
that?
yeah, there's a lot in these
No one walked
these
by, I
older ones.
believe.
Nah, these were. It was good. I mean, like this was a fun year. I think this was like when it was just like this was like second year of college. I think 2017.
Yeah,
Ours?
yeah.
This is our second year of
Either
college.
that or early, like spring of the first year, I guess.
Yeah, so like I have a lot of good memories from this year where it was just
There it
yeah,
is,
I
there's
like
the-
that. Yeah,
You saw
you
the
can
hood
see
there for a second.
you can see a little bit of the hood. Yeah.
Or
There it
light
goes.
blue. That helps.
Yeah. And yeah, only out of cardboard. Not even. It's not. I think for being so bad, like it looks pretty good. If that makes any sense.
It's already falling apart.
But it's still, you get the idea.
Yeah.
It looks like an arcade cabinet. That's all that
The
matters.
shape definitely fits.
Yeah, it's. I think everything is paced perfectly in this episode.
Good times.
It's bam.
I'm not behind it there.
Yeah, but yeah, this was a fun time where it was just like this was during like when we would just kind of make the videos, and it was just kind of like oh, you know, like let's just it truly did feel like it was just for fun. Where now like it's still really fun, but like it's a lot more work, and this was like back when it was just like silly shenanigans and that was it. And back then it was just kind of like, oh man, we did this, and this was like one of the biggest episodes back then.
Yeah.
And now like the biggest episodes are literally like, oh yeah, I had to change the format of my entire house just to film this.
Put a spaced.
Yeah, but this will always be like one of my favorites. It's just a fun little quick Halloween special. I think it's paced really well. I think for the time, even for now, I think a lot of the stuff adds up to be a really fun like little experimental episode.
Yeah.
And what do you yeah, is this easy to forget for you, or is this one of your top two?
I wouldn't put it top 3. I mean, it's tough to. I don't really rank them that much, but I look upon it fondly for sure.
Yeah, what he's trying to say is it fucking sucked.
Hated it.